Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are at another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies. Episode number 276. Peter, how are you this morning?
Oh, I'm okay, Bill. How are you making out?
I'm doing good. Today's episode is called Extraordinary Development to Unlock Creative Real Estate Deals.
Say it again.
Extraordinary Development to Unlock Creative Real Estate Deals.
There's been a development, folks.
Yes.
Development. Okay, stay tuned.
Here is the description. During every negotiation with real estate sellers, you always have this gnawing question of, is the seller going to sell to me? Is the seller going to sell to me? Or, and this is incorrect, Peter, you think, what can I do to convince this seller to do this deal?
Yeah, of course.
That's
what do I have
wrong.
To say here?
That's
no,
wrong.
What?
Maybe you are a little bit like me and think, are they ready to sell to me yet? Well, in today's unexpected podcast, we're going to take the guessing game out of this process. This extraordinary development will soon be the creative real estate industry standard for making deals, and you will be the first to hear it and use it. I totally expect this to take much of the exhaustion and stress out of finding and closing deals from now on. No matter the seller's situation, these 4 conditions exist in every single deal. And once you figure them out, which we're going to talk about today, the deal either opens like the floodgates, or you simply move on without wasting time and resources. In other words, it's how you quickly get to the seller's distinct need and want. Evaluate if you can produce that thing that they need and want, and move forward. Or bail out. It's really, truly too simple and incredible. So make sure you take notes.
Hey, Bill, you're right about that. I'd rather have one real seller out of 100 than 10. Oh, I think I got a good one here.
Yeah.
And get your heart broken 10 times.
I worked for a company in California. And I owned an auto repair shop for 25 or 26 years and had been through their consulting program. So I sold my shop and I decided to go to work for this company as a consultant. I ended up being a senior consultant and a troubleshooter. So I was like the guy that would go in to a town, I would meet with 10, 12, 15 shop owners, and I would do the troubleshooting. Basically, from a profit and loss statement, I could tell what was going on in the shop. And I used to record my interviews like I do here, right? Mm-hmm. And because I practice what I preach, right? So I'll never forget, I got heavily reprimanded because in the recording I used the language. I got heavily reprimanded because in the recording I used the language mental masturbation.
Oh yeah, you're not supposed to say that.
So that's the word that we're using here because it's my own damn podcast and my own business now, and ain't nobody gonna reprimand me. Reprimand me. I got all nervous. So when you have 10 deals and you think they're all deals, it's probably mental masturbation. That happens the most with my coaching clients. It's like,
Well, yeah, well, you wish, you gotta you hope, but that ain't gonna get you there.
Anyways, let's do the housekeeping. The first thing you need to know is in the description, there's a link that I actually have a new masterclass that shows you how to go find a farm market and find like the hottest market in your area or anywhere in the United States. And then it's a 3-video series. So the first video is about emerging markets, so you can find deals quickly. The second video is all about what's the difference between doing a virtual deal and doing a deal that's near you. A lot of people think that there's a big difference when they do a deal 1,400 miles away from them and they lose control, when in fact it's really not that way. There's a specific point that the deal changes, and I explain that and I show you how to handle it. Mm-hmm. Then the last video is how we use our systems to actually do virtual deals. I actually show you how we do the virtual deals. Yep. I mean, I shouldn't say show you how to do the deals. I show you how we find them and keep track of them and how we communicate with them and all that kind of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So, let me fix my name here.
Well, that's awful. That's more popular nowadays than ever. Being virtual is not weird.
Yeah.
That's normal now.
So anyways, make sure you go in there into the description wherever you're watching us or hearing us, and make sure you click on that and you register. It doesn't cost any money. Like I said, it's a 3-series video. Each video is probably about 30 minutes. I've had a few hundred people go through it, and it's been I've had amazing feedback, and it's been pretty extraordinary. So make sure you don't miss out on that. Also, we record this. We're back to recording this on Thursday mornings at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you want to go onto YouTube or Facebook and send us a question while we're recording, you can do that in those platforms, either on YouTube in the comment section or on Facebook down in the chat section. And we get those questions right here and we'll answer them for you. Okay? So, Pete, I have to admit, I wish what we're about to talk about today came to me 20 years ago.
No.
I could have entirely had a different... I could have... what am I trying to say? I could have had an entirely different life.
Really?
Had I known this stuff back then. And I can't explain this. I mean, you understand it because we talk about it. But it's, the number of times over the materials is just incredible. Because the more you go over the materials, the more you understand it, the more you can perform. And the littlest things make the biggest changes. And because I teach it, and because I'm in, I have 3 coaching groups. 2 of them are mine and 1 is somebody else's. So I'm constantly coaching, or not constantly, almost, every week I do coaching calls, and I have one-on-one interviews. I do 45-minute one-on-one interviews. I do about a half a dozen of those a week, and I hear a lot of stories. And again, the more and more you go over the material, just for me, the better I get with it. It's just incredible. It's something I've experienced in the past, but not to this level. I mean, it's just incredible. I can't even explain it, and it's not even like anything to do with me, but the reason I'm bringing that up is because when things like this happen, I spot things, the simple, tiny little things. It's like, holy crap, that's going to change everything, right?
Yeah. Well, that's the real goal of learning and being a professional in any field. I do it in the world of art more, and I know that better than this still. I probably always will. But you get down to becoming more and more simple.
Yeah.
Simpler and simpler. Like, all you got to do is this, this, this. Of course, when you're new to a subject, it looks like the Encyclopedia Britannica.
Right.
Yeah,
and the simple things are the ones that last the longest. That's
well,
what I noticed in my business. Yeah.
That's the basic truths you're looking for. I've heard it explained as a triangle upside down. You start, picture a triangle upside down. You start at the top of it with that really wide base. There's tons and tons of stuff there. But the further down you go, you get to the point, which is at the bottom now. Right. And you go, oh, I see how it all goes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, so this just means for our listeners that it's that this is something new. It's simple, so some may discard it as being too simple and not think it's important. But it's going to be an extraordinary treat, especially for you, Pete. Okay? Mostly because at this point, I have nailed my coaching or apprenticeship program. So I've been coaching for 10 or 12 years. Here's why. My coaching clients are working on my deals at this time. Mm-hmm. Now they're not my deals in my business, but what we have done is we have set up. We use REI Reply, which is a company that I don't own. I don't even have an affiliate link to. It's a CRM, a customer relationship management tool that does all of our marketing for us. It does texting, it does phone calls, it keeps track of our notes, it sends documents, it does everything we need it to do for $50 a month. It's actually $49 a month, right? So here's what I did is I generated an account just for the coaching guys. We actually call it the apprenticeship program now. And I broke it down because Sean, who's my other partner, he's 26 years old and very good with all the tech stuff, so he set the account up for me, so I don't have to spend time doing it, which, by the way, it doesn't take a lot of time to set it up. Nowadays, if you get an account and you're in my coaching group, we take our campaigns and load them right into your account. So you don't even have to do that anymore. But the point is that we go into this account every Monday night, and we work on deals together collectively as a team. I think I've got like 15 or 18 people in my coaching group. There's always a dozen or more people on the call. And I assign each week a person to do a certain task. And the interesting thing is you don't have, when you're in the apprenticeship program, you don't have to worry about any of the technical stuff in the background. If you're the texter this week, Sean and I will send out 100 texts a day. And that's probably going to go up pretty soon because in my business, we do about 400 a day, right? But we send out 100 texts a day. And the texter has the responsibility of actually responding to those texts. And there's actually a hat. I call it a hat write-up. It's slang because I don't know any other way to do it. So like if you're a fireman, you wear a hat. If you're a policeman, you wear a hat. If you're a janitor, you wear a hat. And when you're wearing that policeman hat, you're doing policeman duties, right? So this is the texter hat. And when you're being the texter, you have these duties. So there's a write-up for that. That's not very long. And then there's the same thing for the opening caller. There's a write-up for that. So you know exactly what to do. It has this very specific script, right? And you're just the opening caller that week. You'll make your 3 or 4 phone calls. And then if you're the closing caller, it's the same way. And I'm most excited about that, Peter, because you know this, because it's the first time in 20 years I've actually written up my hat. It's like what has taken me 20 years to learn, I put in a 46-page document, which is not all training. It's just, the scripts, there's some pages that are scripts. It's just, the reason why it's so long is because I also covered like all the objections, like or the rebuttals. So if the seller says this, here's what you say back. That's why that document is so long, right? Mm-hmm. So it's actually extremely one of the coolest things I have ever done in my life. It is incredible how much this team has come together, how they work together, which, by the way, we have a WhatsApp group that they all communicate during the week, like, hey, I just passed this lead, make sure you call them, or so-and-so just said this, what do I say, all this kind of stuff. It is incredible, and you know this because you're in the group and you help me with it, right? So, so the reason why I'm talking about this is not to like promote it or try to sell it or anything like that, because I'm almost at capacity. But if you go through the masterclass, you'll see what we do, because I actually demonstrate in the third video how we do this in this class, in this apprenticeship program. But the apprenticeship program, each week my coaching clients take turns doing these tasks. And here's the amazing thing is, the phone calls are all recorded in the system. The texting is all on one stream, so you can see the timeline with every customer, right? It's like it's in a bucket, so you can see all the texting, all the calls, if they call in, if they respond, everything's in one spot, which is amazing, okay? So I wanted to talk about this today because what I have learned about these guys, because I didn't have this advantage before, because before the coaching group was I would teach you how to do the marketing, I would show you what to do, and you would go off on your own and you would actually do whatever and then go find the clients, have conversations with them, and then come back to the coaching group and I would help you structure a deal and tell you how to talk to them. Right?
Yeah, well, that's kind of the usual industry standard, in any kind of coaching thing. Here, do this, let me know what happened. But you have a lot of videos where you show people over your shoulder what to do.
Right.
That's closer. But this is like actually it. This is, on-the-job training.
Yeah.
You're trying to do your. How do you do
It's
this
incredible.
electrical work over here?
This is what everybody asks me for, and I've never had it
show
before.
Show me how to do it.
Right.
I don't know how to read. I don't like reading. I can't follow instructions. I hate doing that. I get lost, and we all do. I mean, I'm pretty smart, but I'll be reading something. I get the spot like, gee, I wish somebody would just can I talk to somebody about this? You know, it's not a lonely world out there. It's not a one-man world. We need connection, and hey, what do you do with this?
Right.
It's great with the group, and people are changing pretty quick. Like we're seeing what's wrong with
Yeah, and it's little things. It's the little details that I pick up on. So, anyways, we could talk about this for the whole hour, which I don't want to do. So, here's my observation. This is my basic observation. You ready?
Yes.
This, as far as I'm concerned, is probably one of the most valuable things that I could say in all my 276 podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Ready?
What's that?
These guys talk, and nothing happens. I listen to them talk to sellers. I listen to them talk to me, and nothing happens. Mm-hmm. Why is that? And this is the reason why I went on this whole rant, because I have this, I feel like, first of all, what real estate coaching group are you going to go to that on your coaching call? First of all, there's a coaching call every week, and it's a couple hours. It's not it's every other week for 30 minutes. Yeah, and it's not that way.
God.
So first thing is it's a call every week for a couple hours. And they're all recorded, so you can go back and watch them and listen to them and all that kind of stuff, right? Second of all, where are you going to go on your coaching call and actually do live deals? Like text people and call people. And oh yeah, by the way, the guy that runs the call, me, is a complete lunatic. And I want people to know that, because I am not right. I know I'm not right. I've got two wives, an ex-wife and a new wife, which I got to be careful with that, because my new wife's been my new wife for 21 years, right? I have two wives, I have two sisters and two daughters. Believe me, they have told me at every occasion they can get that I'm not right. And here's the reason why. Because I am absolutely, and you know this, Peter, I am a serial entrepreneur. And they are not. They are not. So for my whole life has been a roller coaster. I'm up, I'm down, I'm up, I'm down. I've been a millionaire a couple times and lost it. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I know both ends.
But Bill, that's a sign of the real deal, because anybody can do it once by accident.
Yeah.
But the real guys screw it up, or just get into the wrong situation and then do it again.
Yeah.
Lose it and then do it again.
Yeah. This time I'm keeping it though. That's why I'm doing everything.
2 or 3 times later, you'll learn how to hang on.
So my point is that I had no problem with, oh my God, we should talk to them. And I mute everybody on the Zoom call, and I go on to REI Reply, and I call the seller and close them right there. Mm-hmm. While everybody's listening to me on the coaching call. What coaching group does that? Right? So again, I'm not here to sell this. I'm just here to let you know that this podcast is from my observation of doing these live deals with my coaching clients. Right? They talk and nothing happens. Right? When you find a motivated seller, it's absolutely, positively, over the ramparts delightful. It is incredible. But most of these guys have never heard a motivated seller. And if you don't know what an ideal scene looks like or feels like, right, or sounds like, you won't recognize it when it's right under your nose.
Yeah.
So if you don't know what if you don't know what an ideal scene looks like, I mean, how many times have you heard people say, "Oh, I had a friend of mine. He was looking for a wife. He was divorced and he was looking for a wife. So my other friend, who was a very successful business guy, said to him, "Come visit me." And they did like this write-up of what he was looking for a wife. Like, what was his ideal scene? You know, like, what would she look like? What would she smell like? What would she talk like? What would she act like?
Interests, hobbies.
What kind of things did she like? They spent hours together just talking about it. And he wrote it down.
Yeah.
3 months later, he married her. And it's been 10 years.
Oh. Is this a true story?
Yeah. You know him, too.
Oh.
Steve, the dentist.
No kidding.
Yeah. And it was Larry the
business consultant guy.
No, Larry
Neiman?
Yeah. What is he? Well, I'm thinking of the animal doctor. What are they called? I went blank.
Oh, veterinarian?
Veterinarian, yeah. Larry
Larry, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
So the
I know
point,
he's in your
point,
business consultant group too. Okay.
Yeah, the point that I'm trying to make here is that they drew up, or he had a vision in his mind, and Jim Camp talks about this in his book called No, which is an amazing book. You want to know how to handle sellers? Just read that book, because I take a lot from that book. I read it a couple times a year usually. In fact, I just bought a bunch of his because he's dead. But I bought a bunch of his tapes from a seminar, and it is just incredible. It is just, this guy, I don't know where he came from. He's from outer space. His insight is so cool on how to handle this stuff. Anyways, I'm ranting. The point is that when you have an ideal scene and you have this vision in your mind of what it looks like and what it feels like and what it, you can, when you see it, all of a sudden you get excited, like, oh my God, there it is.
Yeah.
Right? Which is why I've come up with these 4 conditions. Is because what happens is every transaction has these in them. And you have to recognize them, and you have to know when you have a motivated seller. And this will help you do that, right? So
okay.
I'm calling them 4 conditions. They're really indicators. Right? So what is an indicator? I'm going to go look it up. Can you give me a definition? I should have done that before. Can you give me a definition?
Yeah. Well, here's an example. You're driving your car and you look at your dashboard. One thing tells you how much gas you have. One thing tells you what your temperature of your car is. Those are telling you what's happening that you can't see unless you have a way to look into it some way. So
right.
if you know your car is getting really, really hot, that's telling you something. It's indicating. It's pointing out something like you better pull over and do something about it. But it's telling you something about what you're dealing with, like a person in this case. Like right. what condition are they in their head that they're saying something so you know what that is?
Okay, good. So the definition of indicate is a sign or symptom of or something strongly implying.
Mm-hmm.
So what I have in my head as an executive is an indicator is something that's happening. It's a sign that you better watch out. Like, for example, we didn't hit our gross income statistic this week. We needed, I'm just shooting out stupid numbers. We needed $10,000 and we only made $9,000.
Mm-hmm.
So most executives would be, okay, next week we got to do better. But I'd be like, why didn't we make 11,000? That's an indicator. And if you ignore that every single week, sooner or later the checkbook's going to be empty.
Mm-hmm.
You ignored all the indicators. So to me, a good executive notices and acts on the indicators. Right? So this is the same way, right? So it's a sign or symptom, right? And it's strongly implied. So it's something after it is going to come. It's like
right.
it's like you notice it before it happens.
Right, but think of symptom. That's a key word in that.
Yeah.
Symptom.
Yeah.
That's something that you can see that's tell you something else is happening and causing that.
Right.
So you have to find out what's behind it. You got to look deeper.
Right.
Like there's smoke, there's fire. You don't go, oh my God, all this smoke.
Right.
You go find the damn fire.
It's a good point. Good point.
Mm-hmm.
So I've called these conditions, but they're really indicators you should look for right away in a deal. If they're not there, you don't have a deal.
Yeah.
Okay? So here we go. I'm going to list them first, and then we're going to go back and talk about them a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, so number one, does the seller have a healthy dissatisfaction with the property that the seller feels one of our solutions can valuably help them pursue, or help them so they would want to pursue it?
So something about the property that he really doesn't like.
Yep, and I'm going to go over that in a minute. So, does this seller have a healthy dissatisfaction? That's the word, healthy dissatisfaction.
Right.
What is a dissatisfaction?
Doesn't like it. He's unhappy with it, dissatisfied.
Right.
It's not what he wants. He doesn't want it. Doesn't want it. Say that. Doesn't want it.
Right.
Or dissatisfied. Not what you expected something to be.
Right. So it's a lack of satisfaction. Right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So they're not happy with the property anymore. Mm-hmm. Right? And satisfaction or satisfying means fulfillment of one's wishes. So it's no longer fulfilling their wishes. It's no longer giving them what they want. I mean, the day they bought this property and they got the keys, they were happy and had all these expectations.
Yep.
Which, by the way, that's another podcast, but expectations, your expectations are what kills every deal. Okay? We're going to do another podcast on that because that's neediness. That turns into neediness. Right? Mm-hmm. So this seller has, when they bought the property, had an expectation. They lost it. Now they have a disexpectation, or they have a dissatisfaction. They're not happy with the property. So, does the seller have a healthy dissatisfaction? In other words, strong, like emotionally,
like bad health, not good healthy, bad healthy.
Right.
Healthy in a bad way.
With this property, and are they willing to talk to you about your solutions for their dissatisfaction? Mm-hmm. That's like right up front. I mean, it's a lot of words in theory, but if you think about it, it's like, are they motivated? We're going to talk about that in a minute, because what is motivated? Right? Number two, are they the one who can take responsibility and create action or movement? Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about that in a minute, because it's not the person on the deed. Should be, but it's not always the person on the deed. We're going to talk about that.
Yeah, it could be, huh? Yeah.
So number three, does the owner trust that we're the ones best for the job? Not that they trust us, but that they trust that what we're telling them is best for their situation. Mm-hmm. Right? And number four, has the irritation of the problem turned emotional enough that they're ready to do it now?
Yep.
Or do they think there is a plan B available?
Mm-hmm. That's another one.
That's huge. So,
yeah.
Sellers who are ready to sell always have a reach towards you. Mm-hmm. If you don't feel like they're chasing you to some degree, you have not nailed the four above that we just spoke about. So in other words, what is a reach? Right?
Yep.
We lost them. There you go. What is a reach? Are you still there?
Hey, you know what? Give me a sec. I'm going to plug my my direct line in while you're doing that.
Yeah, I'll just keep talking. So what a reach is means somebody's actually like reaching their arm out to you, or stretching out their communication to you so that you could keep going. So they're like stretching their communication, they're stretching their interest. They want to keep pursuing it. Right? That's what reach is. So sellers always you know when a seller's interested or willing to do something. It's not just a desire. A desire is, oh, I wish I could do this. Interest is, I'm actually going to do this. I'm doing things to make this happen. There's a difference between desire and interest, right? I'm a little profound today, I understand, but it has to be this way to understand this, okay? Are they interested? Are they reaching? Do they keep trying to contact you? Are they propelling the deal forward? And if you drop the ball, are they chasing you and saying, hey, what happened? Where'd the ball go? Right? And if you don't have that, you don't have a deal.
You can't always be doing the chasing.
Right. Which, by the way, that's a good indicator. Remember that word, a good indicator. If you're constantly, if the person said, yes, I'd like to do that, that's desire. Mm-hmm. If they're interested, they'll be reaching to you or calling you or trying to contact you. So the way you can tell the difference is in desire, the entrepreneur or the investor does all the work. Mm-hmm. When they're in interest, the seller does all the work. So you have to just take a look at, observe who's doing most of the work here. Who's driving the deal or trying to drive the deal, right?
That's right, yeah.
So they need to relish the interaction with you and your proposal. So they have to relish it. They have to want it. They have to cherish it. They have to feel like it's something they can't get anywhere else. Because you nailed what they need and want, and you're giving them a unique opportunity to solve that problem that nobody else is solving for them.
Yeah.
Right?
Anybody can come along with a bag of cash and pay for something.
Right.
And they can say, well, I want more, and somebody comes along with a little bit bigger cash bag. But the things we're trying to do with this guy, a lot of people can't do.
Right.
Like help somebody move in 6 weeks.
Right. Or like I was on a call with a seller yesterday, and he's got a 4-family house here in Connecticut, and he's wrote. It was my own fault because I've been too busy because I'm getting ready to go away to Florida for a month, so I've been kind of cramped with a bunch of shit that I want to do. Right. So I didn't call him quick enough, and he signed a contract with a realtor. In the conversation, I go over with him. Well, it's a 4-family house. How much do you owe on it? How much you pay for it? Blah, 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 blah. I said to him, well, you need to talk to your accountant because you're going to have capital gains tax. He said, I did. I said, how much was it? He said, $50,000.
In taxes?
So it's a $300,000 property. He's got 15% in closing costs. Let's just say it's 10%. Let's just say it's 10%. That's $30,000 for the realtor's closing cost. Then $50,000 for capital gains. That's $80,000 out of his transaction that goes poof. And I said to him, if I were you, I wouldn't close this year. What do you mean? Well, if you close before December 31st, you're going to owe that $50,000 on April 15th of next year. If you close on January 1st, you won't owe that money until April 15th, 2023. At least you got a year to play with the money.
Yep.
Right? So
that's crazy.
So can we help him save $80,000? Abso-freaking-lutely. Is it worth it for him to take monthly payments from us and save $80,000? So see what I mean? So everybody's different. It's not like you said, it's not just money. He got just money, but look what it cost him. It cost him $80,000 to get that money, and he has no idea it's coming. And he's kind of like gloom and doom about when he talks about it. Well, I signed it with the realtor. I didn't know what else to do. Blah,
and he really
blah,
understood
blah.
that, and he did it he did it anyway.
Well, I think he understood it after the fact. Right? All right. So basically what I'm telling you is there will not be a transaction without these 4 conditions or these 4 indicators. Okay? All right. So now let's break them down a little bit. Okay? So condition number 1, does the seller have a healthy dissatisfaction they think you can help them with? That's the first one. If you don't add value by helping them remove this dissatisfaction, why do they need you? They feel you have no value and you are a waste of their time. Right? So establish this right up front as quick as possible so they start to reach or start to relish your time and reach for you to help them. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So
you don't have a lot of time to do these because they can turn around and talk to the realtor. Somebody else comes on. There's a lot of people running around looking for properties right now. Texting and calling and sending letters in the mail. There's a lot of crap going on. You better strike while the iron's hot.
Totally. Let's go back to the beginning of the podcast. I said that my coaching clients are talking and getting nothing done. Because they're talking about them. They're trying to sell them on them. No, what you need to do is you need to add value immediately up front with your seller so that they relish their time with you. They feel like they walk away. One of my things that I have in the back of my head, and I'm not always so good at it because I get, times where I'm grumpy and I'm short and I'm like, get the hell away from me, which is a quirk in my personality, right? So the point is this. I think everybody that talks to me should leave the conversation with value. That I add value to every conversation. And I know that because I hear things like in different groups, like in the cigar shop. I hear, around me or people tell me, or when I meet somebody like, oh, you're Bill, so-and-so told me about you. You're really cool. Or, I'll hear, when I talk to you, I like talking to you because you can see both sides of the fence, especially with politics. Like you can see the Democratic side and the Republican side, and you don't get mad. You listen to what I have to say, and and you take in consideration my viewpoints, and I hear that a lot. And that's just because when you talk to thousands of sellers, and I'm just broken down to do that. Because if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have deals. Right? You have to hear their side of the story.
Yeah, it's not just about you. We go into this like, oh, me.
Right.
Nope.
So you have to add value, and you got to do that right away. Right? As soon as you can. So how do you do that? Here's a good question. This is a good question. And this is not in my scripts, by the way, but this is just a good question. What's your highest priority for selling this property? What's your highest priority for selling this property? It's a great question. Right? It'll tell you what they're after. So you could ask that question almost immediately. The other one that I use all the time is, what would have to happen for me to buy your property today? That's another one. Right? So it gives you their vision in their mind and how you could add value to that. Because what happens is, if you and the seller build an offer together and they're satisfied with it, they become a cheerleader that you're going to get it done now. It's a whole different perspective than they're skeptical of whether you can or can't do it.
Sure.
Condition number 2. Are they the one who can take responsibility and create action?
And you're saying it's not always the guy on the deed.
Yeah, so listen, we ask whose name is on the deed as one of our first questions. And deal with that person, because that's the signature we need to close. But I have found deals with parents who aren't able to make deals, and the kids need to do it. You just did it with your mother's deal. How old is she?
97.
And she's in a convalescent home, right?
Yep.
And completely out of her mind.
Halfway.
Respectfully, I mean, it's not a
She
derogatory
got dementia.
thing. Right.
No, it's she says funny things, and some days she's more lucid. That's how it goes. But she's not in a point to make a house decision. No.
Okay, so that's one scenario. The second scenario, which is what I think is worse. This is worse. It just happened to us in the coaching group, in the apprenticeship group, where I had a deal. You guys found a deal. It was in
Cleveland,
Ohio. I always want to say Cincinnati. Cleveland, Ohio. We had an awesome subject to closing call with her. She was all over it. We sent her the memorandum, and the deal flopped. And you were the one that actually picked up on it. Nobody else.
Well, I was guessing at that point.
Right. And all of a sudden, she got all weird and disappeared and just rode off into the sunset. Like, what the hell happened here? That's way different than the closing call. The name on the deed has The name on the deed. The person who has their name on the deed has an opinion leader coaching them on every move. What's the definition of opinion leader? That's the person that they're going to listen to or take advice from. Now, I have to tell you something. In my life, those opinion leaders have been some of the most stupidest people I've met in my entire career. But they have a hold on this person. Right? So, if the seller is making that opinion leader, is expecting the opinion leader to help them, that means the opinion leader is always lurking around in the deal and you don't know they're there. So you're negotiating up against a shadow. It's like boxing a shadow. You keep swinging and swinging and swinging, but nothing's going to happen.
So do you have some clever question like who's your advisor when you make big decisions? Or somebody, you have a line?
So who else needs, the question would be, who else needs to be involved in the major decision about this house?
Yeah.
So if you're boxing a shadow and you're dealing with somebody and you feel like you're not getting anywhere, right? In fact, let me just read this because it says it all, right? The opinion leader is lurking in the background of your deal. Start looking for them so you can get everyone together, especially husband-wife teams. How many times I get on the phone and testosterone takes over? Oh, no, the guy says. I make the decisions. No. I'm the boss. And they tell me things like this.
Until you hang the phone up and she says, who are you talking to?
No. And then all of a sudden we got to sign paperwork. Oh, I got to talk to my wife. Well, what happened to you making the decisions? Oh, well, she's my partner and I got to talk to her.
Yeah.
Right? So it happens a lot. So often I'll ask, and I don't put these in the scripts because you don't have it happen every deal. This is just the opinion leader part. I mean, these conditions happen in every deal, but we have to realize the person we're talking to can get us to the finish line. So like, if I was doing your deal, Peter, I would know if I'm dealing with you, you were the driving force of that transaction, of your selling your mom's house. Right. Even though your mom didn't sign the title, you handled probate court and you did everything you needed to do. So the person's name on the deed is very important and you need to know who it is, but more importantly, you need to know the story. Like in your particular case, if I was talking to you, I would find out that your mom is 97 years old in a convalescent home and you're making the decisions.
Right.
You're not signing the deed. The court's going to sign the deed for you, but you're making the decisions. Now, here's an amazing thing about this. Listen to what I'm saying here. Are they the one that can take responsibility? So what does responsibility mean?
Make the decision.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
Right.
Respond. They would have to be able to respond to everything that happens and carry it through.
So they have the duty to deal with something. Or they have the control to do something. It's like they have a duty. It's like they have the pressure of getting this done.
Right.
Like in your particular case, if you didn't take responsibility for this, then what would have happened to that house?
Gone to the state.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
See?
Gone.
So several hundreds of thousands of dollars would have went to the state of Connecticut because you didn't take responsibility. It wasn't, you felt like it was your duty, right? Or your, in your control to do something. So you had the outcome that's best for everybody.
That's right.
So are they the one who can take responsibility and create action? Create action. Movement. Can they push this forward to the finish line?
Yep.
Do they have that ability? Do they have that horsepower? Some people don't have the horsepower to push it.
Nope.
And you lose deals because the person is so overwhelmed in life or so timid, they don't have the horsepower to do it. They don't have the horsepower to deal with the kids or deal with, somebody that's the opinion leader that doesn't agree.
Or they have to call the town about a tax bill, or the water department about a water bill, find out about some things, check with their lawyer. They just never bother, right?
Right. They don't have the horsepower. They can't confront it. They're afraid of it. They're too timid.
And that's how they got in trouble in the first place, isn't it?
Right. Exactly. Right.
You know, it's funny you mentioned this about the person. I saw a survey recently, some marketing thing that came in my email. There was a few questions. It was like, whose opinion do you trust? And then when it comes to making decisions, who would you listen to? Right. Things like that, like what you're talking about. Some survey came along, so that's interesting. Yeah.
So that's important. You got to know that, right? In the deal. And these are not things that most people talk about when they're doing transactions.
Nah.
They're underlying, which is, and again, Peter, I want to emphasize 1,000%. We would not be talking about this today. This would not even be on my radar if I hadn't formed this apprenticeship program 5 or 6 weeks ago and be on the call with these guys every week. Right?
Yeah, well, you're seeing what's really happening. It's like when I give my music lessons, student sits in front of me and I see what happens.
Right.
It's not just it's every week, and I can fine tune that way.
But this is different. This is different because you're not with them all week to see them play their music. All you're with them is for the result of their practicing. You're not there helping them practice. This is completely different. We're there helping them practice. We're in the practice sessions with them
WhatsApp
during the
that
week.
You have. Yeah, the WhatsApp, huh?
Or just go into REI Reply and look at the activity. If I want to know what my texter's been doing for 2 days, I just go into the system and I look at what they've been texting.
Yep.
So it's like if you have a student, they show up for their lesson, and you ask them, "Did you practice last week?" And they say yes. Well, they could lie to you, right?
That's right.
No.
True.
What I'm doing is I'm actually following them around and making sure they, like when they do practice, I'm there listening to them practice.
Yeah.
Because of the way the software is, because everything's recorded. So I can go in and see how they were practicing.
Yeah, you can listen to the recordings. That's funny. The WhatsApp was something you threw in there a while back just because you thought it was a good idea. Then you add this piece. But man, you put this all together, it's really another thing.
And it's like, it's brought me to this level of like, oh my God, there's like this basic undertowing like things that we don't talk about that are, if they're missing in a deal, they just don't happen. And these are not anything I'm going to, like go off and like make courses on another. This is just a one time. That's why it's an unexpected podcast, because I kind of stumbled on this and I started thinking about it and I'm like, holy crap, we got to do a podcast about that, right? All right. Condition number 3. Does the owner trust that we are the ones best for the job? One word is blaring out here. Blaring out from the top of a steeple.
I can see it from here, Bill.
What is
Money. Money.
No.
Money in my pocket. I know. I'm kidding. Trust?
Scam.
Oh, yeah.
The way I overcome this is I build trust. So almost all of our sellers nowadays think that we're a scam. Why? Because there's too many people that send texts that are not like us that follow through. And I know because we have properties we own. Obviously, I own properties and I get texts all the time. And I respond to these people because I want to know, what are they doing? I want to see their system. Am I missing something? Let me see what they got. And almost one for one, either one or two things happens. They do respond. And if they do, I never get an offer. Or they just don't respond. Now, listen to me carefully because this is not on my script. If you get on the phone with someone, especially on the opening call, and they say to you, well, I got 10 people a day that want to buy my house. Right? My rebuttal for that is, oh, okay, how many offers have you gotten? And inevitably, 99% of the time, well, I didn't get any. Okay, well, I'm here to give you an offer. And that calms them down because there are so many people with this automation. Right? And we talk about this because Sean and I do that. It's all automation. Right? So that's the quantity. Quantity is great. But what about the quality?
Yeah.
Where's that? This is a people business. And the automation is fantastic. But sooner or later, you have to deliver what they want. You have to add value, like the first thing I spoke of. You have to add value, right? So you send the hook and the bait out like, oh, would you be interested in selling? Yeah, I'd be interested in selling, right? They technically don't want to sell the property. They're not ready to sell to you. Why? Because you need to give them a proposal. There's no sense in talking to them. You know, they don't want they don't want to talk to you if their house is $200,000 and you're going to offer them $100,000. They don't want to do that. But if you can offer them $210,000, they'll be like all ears. Is that going to be a conversation that they relish? Yeah, they want to know how.
Oh, yeah.
Then the first thing they think of, well, this is a scam, and that's where we're at right now, right? So you need to build trust.
Yeah.
So I, my own little self, some years ago, and you know this because you were with me, have made this really simple. So here's what trust means. Okay? Your words match your actions. That is trust. Definition of trust is your words match your actions. So what I do is I artificially induce trust into my deals. And it's not artificial, but it's probably not the right way to say
Well,
it.
you go out of your way to make sure you're doing it. I've seen you do it. You make sure you're doing some things to show them that you're real. You're not just talking. You'll say, "Hey, I'm going to do this and this," and you actually go do it.
Right.
You know, and I do that with you. We do that with each other. I'll say I'm going to do something when I do it. You say you're going to do something and you do it. That's why we know. I mean, everybody has friends that say they're going to do things. They don't do it. Do you trust that damn friend? Hell no, you don't.
Right.
They just don't do what they said they're going to do.
Right.
So I think you go out of your way to make sure you do something, whether you need to or not. You do something. There's usually something to do anyways.
I'm always going to do something. What I'm going to do is I'm going to state it first. So it's okay, Mr. Seller. I'm going to go find out about I'm going to call the town hall and find out about how much the past taxes are, and I'll call you tomorrow. And I call them tomorrow. Okay, I spoke to the town and they said blah 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 blah. Right now it goes the other way too. With the seller, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to call you tomorrow. Why don't you get your bank statement and your
Your taxes or something.
Yes, whatever, your insurance. Find out how much your insurance is. And if I call them tomorrow and they're like, oh, I forgot, or I had, my kid, or, I had to go do this. Well, that's an indicator that they don't relish your communication. They don't relish your offer. They don't relish your ability. They're not savoring it as like, this guy can really help me. I better do my part. Right? And that's the undertow of what I'm talking about. That's what people miss. It's the difference between desire and interest. That's the key point of this whole podcast. Desire is, I wish I could get this. I wish I could get $200,000 and close by next month. Or I'm going to get $200,000 and close by next month, and this guy's going to help me. Yeah. Right? So desire is a wish list. Interest is they're doing it. And the difference is desire, you're doing all the work. Interest, they're doing all the work. Mm-hmm. So I measure my entire, I'm doing it right now. I'm selling a house right now on a rent to own. Mm-hmm. I put it on Facebook on Sunday, which was Halloween, thinking that I wasn't going to get that much response. Okay? I've gotten over 250 responses. It's actually beat me down. 200, and all I did was put it on Marketplace. Over 250 private messages to my cell phone. Okay? And so how do I know who to deal with? How did I weed it down to the 2 appointments that I have this afternoon? Well, first of all, I look at the deposit amount and I look at their income. That's the first thing I do with any application. I have a dozen and a half applications that I made them send me. Which, by the way, think of it this way. I put an ad on Facebook. I boosted it for $50 for 7 days or 10 days. It's $5 a day. Mm-hmm. I set the house up so that there's 12 signs around the neighborhood so you can find the house, saying house for sale, no bank qualifying. Mm-hmm. I put a sign on the front door that says, if you want to get into this house, here's the lockbox code. Now, I do it different than Sean, my other partner, Sean. He makes them send them their driver's license, a picture of their driver's license. I don't even do that. I put it on our free recorded message, so when they call that message, I have their phone number. So if something happens in the house, I just give the cops the list of their phone numbers and say, go find them.
Yep.
Right? I never have trouble anyways. They go in the house, there's a big 3 foot by 4 foot, 3 foot by 3 foot whiteboard on an easel that pretty much says, welcome. Number 1, look around and make sure this is a house you want to buy. Number 2, make sure you bring anybody in the house that is going to help you make the decision and make sure they're cool with it. And number 3, go to the kitchen counter and get the flyer pack. The kitchen counter, there's a flyer pack. The first page is the house and the description of it. The second 2 pages is the frequently asked questions that most people ask. The 4th page is your next step, which is all about the deposit money. Like how much do you have for deposit, and do you have anything to trade in, like cars or jewelry or stock market or anything like that. And number 4 is the application. Okay, the reason why I'm telling you that is because I am not going to talk to anybody that doesn't have an application. So if they're badgering me on Facebook Messenger, I keep telling them, go listen to the free recording. Send me an application. We'll talk. I will not talk to anybody until they've sent me an application. Why is that? Because of this law that I have, your words have to match your actions. So if you tell me you're going to go fill out an application, like I got a guy that wants to give me $20,000 down, and he hounded me to talk to him on the phone. So finally, after 2 days, I picked the phone up and I just called him because I couldn't take it anymore. And he tells me this whole story about how he wants to renovate the house and he wants to sell it, and he's got $20,000 to put down. Guess what? He didn't do shit. The ones that want to get on the phone with you and tell you their story, they're trying to sell you. And they can't do that over text. They want to induce their emotion to get you to accept their saga. And my take on it, which is cold as hell. Hey man, that's your problem. Why are you trying to sell me on it? Why do I have to pay for your problem? Because you can't pay $1,770 a month. You only have to pay $1,500 because you got divorced or because your house burned down. I mean, I don't mind helping people, but follow the sequence. Go through the system. Okay? Mm-hmm. And I'm on a rant here, and we're going to finish in a minute. But here's my point. In the coaching group, the apprenticeship group, what I have been hammering to death is let the system do the work. Let the system do the heavy lifting. Yep. You don't need to do that. And if the system is there, and I've set up the system, I'm letting you use my system. I've set it up for you. Let the system do the heavy lifting. When I'm selling my house, let the system do the work. If they're not going to follow the steps and go through the system, I can't weed them out, and I'm not dealing with all the suspect buyers. Okay, so I do the same thing, like make your actions match your words with my buyers. That's one of the biggest decisions I make. Did they follow the systems? Did they follow the instructions? Did they do what they were supposed to do? And I tell people, you didn't follow instructions. You just disqualified yourself. Get away from me. I text people shit like that.
No, you should. If they can't even do that, how are they going to do the transaction? They can't even find how to get into the house. They can't they can't fill out the application. Well, if you're that much, just be a renter.
Yep. Yep. Exactly.
Get a dictionary. I don't do something. Stop being a wuss.
Irritation number 4. Let's do this and get out of here.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. Condition number 4 is, has the irritation of this problem turned emotional, even that they are ready. I'm sorry. I'm going to read this again. Has the irritation of this problem turned emotional enough that they are ready to do it now? So listen to this carefully. And I know it's the end of the podcast and I don't have much time, but listen to me. Please, please listen to me. It's taken me 20 years to learn this. Mm-hmm. And I've just, in the last month, started talking about it because I just figured it out. And again, I don't want to keep badgering this, but this apprenticeship group has taught me so much that I can, and because of it, I can help my clients so much better.
Yep. To
get deals quicker, right? Here we go. Irritation is the word here. See, irritation is the physical or objective thing to the mind. Irritation is outside of the mind. Things like the house is full of crap and they got to clean it out is an irritation. Mm-hmm. Or or they're making payments on a vacant house is an irritation. It's a physical thing that they don't want. Okay, it's a physical thing that they don't want. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right? So just to be clear, irritation is a feeling of being annoyed, impatient, or slightly angry. So it's a state of feeling annoyed, impatient, or slightly angry.
And you're talking about the thing that's causing that. You're talking
So
about the thing that's happening.
It's a physical thing. It's a physical. The irritation is a physical, in the physical universe thing. Right? And they don't want it. So it's a physical thing. It's like, I don't want to cut the grass anymore. And this is a state of feeling annoyed. Right?
Yeah, and most of us would stop at that point and think we have it, but you go one step further, don't you?
Yes. So let me just get this point across first. So I don't want to cut the grass is feeling annoyed. Impatient is I gave it to a realtor and they couldn't sell it. Or I have to make 2 payments on my property and it's vacant. That's slightly angry. Do you see what I'm saying? So
okay.
Irritation is huge. But here's the point. When this irritation goes on too long, it becomes stress, which is emotion. Emotion is subjective. In someone's mind, it's how they feel. This subjective feeling we call motivation. And is enough pressure in their head to put them into action. They don't want to feel that way anymore. They're uncomfortable. They physically feel uncomfortable. It's annoying to them. They can't stop thinking about it. They wake up in the middle of the night thinking about it. They have agita and can't eat. Agita is like, or
sour stomach.
Yeah, indigestion because this problem is annoying them, right? Remember what I said. Irritation is a state of feeling annoyed, impatient, or slightly angry.
Yeah.
Right? So this irritation has become emotional. It's in their mind. They have mental charge attached to it that reacts physically for them.
Yeah, I see it as it's one thing to have the thought, like, I don't like that.
Right.
I don't like paying 2 mortgages. I don't like cleaning out the house. Why would you?
Right.
But then each person will have a different emotional reaction. Like, I really hate it. I can't stand it. It makes me cry. It makes me sad. Your reaction is your reaction. It's not a set thing. I've seen it in people.
Your reaction could be one way. Like, you can have a husband-wife team. Have the same situation, and the wife is completely cool about it, and the husband's freaked.
Right, because this is your own personal reaction.
Right.
And it might not hit you right away. You mow the lawn 3 times, it's okay. The 4th time, one day you go, I'm done.
Why am I doing this? Right.
Yeah, something happens and you go, pfft, and the emotion really hits you to the point you don't want it anymore.
Right.
And you go, I don't want this anymore. I can't stand this.
And that happened to me. I used to race cars, a bunch of years ago. And we won races. I was with a team that won races, and we were in Loudon National, New Hampshire when they first opened. And it was 4:30 in the morning, and I was laying underneath the car, working on the car on a chilly morning. And I'm thinking to myself, I got a wife and kids at home. Why am I doing this? and within 2 or 3 weeks, I was off the team. I stopped doing it. I had never gone back. I've never gone back.
That's fine. I never heard that story. I thought it was just something you stop, but it doesn't just stop. Like, you go, like, I'm done.
Yeah, I was done. Right. So,
yeah.
so this irritation, the has an irritation of this problem turned emotional enough so that they're ready to do it now. So in other words, you're on the chain, like on the chain of events. All the events that happen up to this point, and now you're in present time, have come to the point where they're ready to do it now, because all these past experiences and all these feelings have added up to today. Like, I'm done. I got to do something.
Yep.
Are you there? Right? Now, how do you know that? It's called, do they have plan B? right? So if they have plan B, they're not at that I need to do it right now. They still feel they have choices or options.
Right. They don't need you. They got something else.
So you would ask, so for the irritation part, you would ask, what are you most fed up with about this property?
Mm-hmm.
I ask, and you've heard me say this very many times, if I don't buy your house today, what will you do?
Yeah, that's in. I've been over this enough. I know the questions now.
Nice.
I knew that one. It's
Nice.
getting good. Yeah.
Nice. So
And
that tells you if they're motivated emotionally, right? That tells you that if they have plan B. Well, if I don't do this deal with you, I'm just going to list it with the realtor. My wife is a realtor, and we're going to list it, and I don't have to pay. I'm only going to pay 2.5% because we're not going to take our side, right? Or whatever. Well, I'll just keep renting it because I'm making $400 a month, so I'll just keep renting it if I don't sell it to you.
Right.
So that question is a lot because they're not emotionally drained with this property, and there's no sense in you trying to push forward.
Do you have a question to elicit the emotion and have them think about it and see if it's really there?
Yes. So it's what are you most fed up with about this property?
Now, could that be the irritation? And you might ask another question like, "How's that?" I've seen you ask like,
How does that affect
affecting
you? Yeah. How does that affect you? Yeah.
Yeah, because you can get more of it that
Well,
way.
on our scripts, what we do is we ask, how does that affect you? And then we ask, how does that affect others around you?
Right.
And I forgot the third question. Like, tell me how it affects them. Like, what if you don't sell this property? What will that do to your wife and kids?
Yeah.
Right. It's their awareness, and a lot of times when you talk about affecting them, they'll deal with it themselves. But if they know they're affecting somebody else, it makes a whole difference. Right. I want to go back to condition number 3 before we end off. So condition number 3 was, does the owner trust that we are the ones best for the job? And we talked about scam and all that stuff and trust, right? What I didn't do is give you the question we would ask for that, right?
Okay.
So the question for number 3, and I'm sorry I'm out of order with this, is do you have any concerns about the approach to this transaction that we're taking with this transaction? Right? So that pulls out, well, yeah, I don't understand everything you're saying, so I need to get a lawyer. Right? Or, yeah, I never heard of this before, so I want to talk to someone. I want to go do my research. Right? So do you have any concerns about our approach to do this transaction is the question.
That's funny you say that because a lot of us don't want to know if there's a problem. We just hope it happens. But you really have to ask. And if there is, deal with it because it won't work if you don't.
Right.
It's okay.
So I want to leave off because we're at an hour and 7 minutes. So I just want to go through them again. So number 1 is, does the seller have a healthy dissatisfaction with the property that the seller feels one of our solutions are valuable enough to pursue? Number 2 is, are they the one who can take responsibility and create action or movement? Number 3, does the owner trust that we are the ones best for the job? And number 4, has the irritation of the problem turned emotional enough that they are ready to do it now? Or do they think they have plan B available? All right, Pete?
Yep.
So that's my very profound podcast today. If you can wrap those around in your head, and these are not like something that you have to spend a bunch of time on. It's perception on your part. It's like receiving, which, by the way, perception means that you are getting, like, you're receiving other emotions or senses. Like, it's not just their written word. It's their body motion. It's their tone of their voice. It's, the way they're acting. You know what I mean? That's perception. It's like you're perceiving something other than what they're telling you. You're perceiving their feelings on it.
Yeah, they hesitate.
Yeah.
You go like, what are you thinking?
Right.
Are you worried about something?
So just realize desire is I wish I could, and interest is I'm going to. And the difference is who's doing all the work. So one of the ways that I measure my conversations and who I give my time to is who is going to cherish or relish my time with them, and who's going to actually do something to get towards the goal. Because otherwise I couldn't live my life. You know that I speak to 6,000 to 7,000 people a week. Right? And not all one-on-one. I mean, some of it's with the podcast, some of it's with emails, some of it's with one-on-one, some of it's with sellers, some of it's with buyers. I mean, I talk to a lot of people. So how do I know where to put my attention? And that's how I do it. Because who's doing what they're supposed to be doing? Whose words match their actions?
Squeaky wheel.
Yeah. Okay. So very cool. Sorry I went 9 minutes over the hour. I hope everybody enjoyed this. Remember, in the description, there is a link to the masterclass. The masterclass is 3 videos. How to find emerging markets so you could do deals quickly. How to do virtual deals either in your that are near you or in your backyard, or how to do them 1,500 miles away without losing. And there's not much difference if you have to know where the deal changes and keep control of it, and it's very easy. And of course, the last thing is the system using REI Replay. I actually go in there and show you how we use it, which is very, very cool. Okay, so make sure you go check that out. So we'll talk next week. Thanks, Pete, for your time, and thanks to all of my listeners for the support and patronage and being here listening to us. Okay, have a good week.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.